One question that I get asked a lot is how I maintain and manage my mental wellness when my career involves sharing my whole life online. This is a really good question. The truth is there are a lot of creators out there who look really happy online and they portray themselves in this really positive light, but they are not happy. And I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of other awesome and talented content creators in real life, whether it's at events or just, sometimes we do these Zoom chats to meet each other and have like virtual coffee dates. And I've spoken to a lot of these people and they are not happy. They're just not pleased with their life. They are struggling with a lot of aspects of being a public persona, and they're not sharing any of that on social media. And so it would be really impossible for someone in their audience to see that they feel that way because they're not sharing it. But deep down, they're just not happy. And a big element that brings them down in their day is negative commentary about them on the internet and hearing from trolls and getting shamed and getting slammed and getting dragged and feeling like almost everything they say on social media is being scrutinized and they're just not doing well up here. I get this question a lot, and this is honestly a topic that I love talking about because if we rewind in my career, even if we go back to say 2010, when I was in college and I was producing and hosting videos on the Johns Hopkins University YouTube channel, which yes, if you go on YouTube and you type in Lucie, Fink, Johns Hopkins University, all the videos I produced for Hopkins are still there, live on the channel. Welcome back if you have taken a little interlude and watched my Hopkins videos. So when I was back in those early days of starting to be on YouTube and put my face out there and put myself out there, that was really the start of getting a little taste of the potential negativity that could come from the social media sphere. And it wasn't even that there were such hateful comments written under those YouTube videos, but those YouTube videos were shared in other places, they were shared on Facebook, and the plain simple truth of it is that once your face pops up to an audience of people who don't know you and don't care about you and don't know why they're seeing you on their computer screen or their phone, there's going to be a percentage of people who are just not nice. I actually heard a stat once, I'm not even going to try to quote the number here because I'm going to get it wrong, but there was once a stat where I heard that when people see you on a screen and don't know who you are, a certain percentage of those people immediately, without knowing a thing about you, don't like you. Just from the way you look, the way you carry yourself, something about you. So in those early days of putting myself out there, I definitely got a little bit of a taste of that. And to be honest, at times it wasn't fun, but I really did like what I was doing. I loved creating video content. I loved producing. I loved being on camera. I find when a camera turns on, I am at my most comfortable. A lot of people, it's the complete opposite. For me, I get this rush of positive adrenaline that makes me feel deeply comfortable when a camera turns on. I always say to Michael, if I was playing basketball and shooting hoops and I was missing, I kept hitting it off the backboard or hitting the rim, the moment a camera came on me, swoosh, swing, it's going in. It's just how I work. It's how I've always been. And I'm really grateful I obviously have the right job given this. Despite loving what I did as a job, it was difficult to constantly be seeing and reading everyone's opinion about everything I did. And honestly, the noise wasn't that loud back then. I did not have a big platform. I was just the face of these Johns Hopkins videos. So it definitely wasn't super loud and imposing on my life. And I just kind of kept moving forward doing what I was doing. Fast forward to my time at Refinery 29. And when I started there around 2015, that was sort of the big boom of the digital video world. All of the talent that you know and love from BuzzFeed was kind of just getting their start making videos there. There were companies like Vice and Vox building up and blowing up, and all these companies like Refinery 29 had internal employees and internal talent that they were thrusting in the spotlight and making the stars of the show. And even before I got that opportunity at Refinery 29, I was able to follow and see some of the other talent that was doing it at other companies, and I was able to see what their comment section looked like and, understand some of the feedback that they got. It's one thing to read these comments about someone else and see in passing, if they have 100 comments, you might see the 2 comments that are mean and you might just scroll right past them. But I can guarantee you that talent and that host is not scrolling past those 2 comments. For some reason, those 2 comments feel the loudest out of the 98 others, which are so nice and so loving, but just don't seem as important as the 2 mean comments. comments. I remember looking at these people's content from that sort of watchful eye place. And right around that time, I got offered this job at Refinery 29. And in this moment, I had to have a real heart-to-heart with myself. I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, do you want to do this job? Is this worth it? Because if you do this job, and if you are the face of Refinery 29, and if you do produce a YouTube series that you are the host of, you're gonna get a lot of shit. Yes, there's gonna be great times. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna travel. You're gonna meet people. You're gonna learn. You're gonna get to be doing exactly what you want to do. But you're also gonna have to deal with the trolls, the negative comments, the mean stuff, the nasty stuff. And so do you want to do this? And I really sat with myself. I didn't just like jump on this job opportunity and say yes without thinking. I sat there and I thought, let me fast forward 5-10 years in the future, because happiness is really important to me as a person. And I came from a very solid, stable, loving relationship, a very loving and stable and calm household, very loving and stable friendships. I came from this place of stability, and now I felt like I was entering this tornado zone. And I asked myself, do I want to do this? Be honest. And I thought through it, and I actually tried to envision what my life would be like if I passed on the opportunity out of the fear of getting the negativity. And would I be happier if I sat idly by and I instead took a job that was maybe less in the public eye, fewer eyes on me, and I just, did some desk job 9 to 5, came home from work, my job is done, and instead I was a consumer watching other creators do exactly what I wanted to do? Would that make me happier in the end, whether at the end of my career or the end of my life? And I thought about it, and I decided that the answer was no. And I realized that no negative comment, no mean conversation thread about me on the internet, no horrible troll could possibly make me feel worse than I would feel if I had decided to just sit on the sidelines and watch other people live out my dreams. And that was a really big moment for me, because when I decided to start at Refinery 29, I knew fully what I was getting myself into, and I knew what to expect. I knew that there were going to be highs, there were going to be lows, and that the lows of this job would be a little difficult to deal with at times. One thing that's really fascinating to me about this world we're living in with social media, I don't know if it's like a thing about the world or something specific about this job that I'm in, I keep thinking about how in previous human eras, if we go back in time, like I'm taking you to the Stone Age or to eras way before the internet, way before TV, way before we as separate societies were connected with media and news and any of that. Back to the time when we were just evolving as a species and our brains were turning into what they are today. It is absolutely not normal for a human being to constantly be reading and hearing and seeing public negative feedback about themselves. We as human beings have evolved to have this deep fear of being disliked and just like a natural desire to fit in. Because if we go back to a time when people were living in tribes and in caves, if we were not liked by the people around us, we were probably killed or hunted. So we honestly have developed this like stress response to people telling us things about us that they don't like, or sending us threats or saying mean things. And now we live in a time where for a lot of people, these words are just flying across the internet all day, every day, and they are seeing it and their brains are internalizing that. Someone saying something mean about you and your personality, it's not an actual threat to your safety. However, your body still interprets it that way because our human brains have evolved that way. So it's no wonder if you read a negative text, and I'm gonna try to like make this relevant to some of you out there because obviously not everyone is a creator, but imagine you are at a sleepover. We'll go in the girly direction here. You're at a sleepover and your friend leaves her phone next to you, and all of a sudden you see your name pop up on her phone. So you click into it sneakily and you see that another friend of yours has texted your friend writing something mean about you. What is gonna happen physiologically to you in that moment? I would bet your face is gonna get bright red, you're gonna feel heat, your heart's gonna start fluttering, you're gonna start sweating. There's like this whole physical response that happens as a response to seeing something not nice about you. And when this all happens on a public platform, like a social media platform, this is all amplified by 10 million%. The way you feel like a dagger to your heart and soul, especially if it's a mean comment about something you've worked on or like a project project you're really proud of, or I don't know, your family. Like, it hits hard and it can hurt. And when it's in public, there's the added element of what Brene Brown talks about with her research about shame. You have this added layer of being shameful that it's written on a public platform. Like, a lot of things you wouldn't really care as much if it was DM'd to you and sent privately, but when it's posted as a comment or on a thread, it's public, and then you have this fear of, now the whole public is gonna read this and it's maybe gonna sway people's opinions, and you feel shame on top of the already physiological response you're having to the comment itself. Back when I first started my job at Refinery 29, I sort of set the precedent with myself that I'm not gonna try to find what people who don't like me have to say. Like, of course, sometimes it just popped up in my space and it would come into my private messages or my email, but I made a point to just not seek this out. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. So that was sort of the approach I took, was I'm not gonna seek this out. But even though I've done that, there have been multiple times over the course of my career where the information has, I guess I'll say, fallen into my lap. In some cases, it's been people that I know who are, trying to be nice, sending it to me and saying, oh, I can't believe this. That's not true. I hope you don't take it to heart. And then I click into what they're sending me and I'm like, why would you send me this? I hadn't seen it before. In other cases, it is accounts that just tag me on social media with this gossipy information, and then I see the tag because I'm always checking my phone for business purposes, and then there you go, it's thrust in my face, or it's an email or a private message or a comment in public on my content, and so I can't not see it. The truth is, there's like categories of these types of comments. Some of them are more, things that just don't bother me at all. Things that I would never get upset about. If someone said something about my looks, I'm pretty confident with myself and I don't care if someone thinks I'm ugly. If someone has to say something about my interior design style, I don't care. Everyone has different style. However, there's this other category of comments that I would say is just like a dagger to the heart. And for me, that is the type of comments that criticize my intellectual capacity. It's the comments that criticize the value of my work and my business acumen. And some areas that I find to be probably the rudest are comments about my body, things that I can't change about myself, or who I am as a mom. Like, I did come across, and once again, wasn't looking, but it was dropped right in front of me, some recent comments of people talking about how I'm not a real mom to my child because I have a nanny and because I have help and I don't know how to actually be his mom. And that kind of stuff I feel like is in the category of being meaner. It's like a comment that just like hits where you might be vulnerable, because of course, as a mom who has a nanny and has support for my child, I go through my own feelings of parental guilt of being a working parent who's away from him. So then when someone else says it and puts it into a public platform, it just puts it all on full blast. Now let's get to the full circle moment of how I deal with these comments, because it would be easy to see even just one of these comments and hide myself away and say I'm never posting on social media again. And one thing I want to say here before I get to my answer is I saw this happen to a lot of people at Refinery 29. So back in the day when I was working there were tons of other employees who worked in all different types of departments at Refinery. They were graphic designers, they were programmers, they were writers, and just the way the company worked, the company would tap internal employees to come be in videos on different topics because it was saving the company money from needing to hire external talent. So they would use employees for a lot of videos. And these employees were not video people, they had never been on camera before, and then they offered up their faces and their services to be on camera in these videos. And what I saw happen time and time again is they would be so excited showing up on camera. They would, get their hair and makeup done. They would feel like it was an amazing shoot day. And then the content would go live and the comments would start rolling in. And there were mean comments about them and their personhood, things about the way they looked, the way they talked, the way they dressed, their bodies. And these people, so many of these employees said, never again. I will never be in a video again because those comments took me out. And I remember watching these people and feeling like, I feel so bad that that was their first foray into what I do full time. And a lot of them would come up to me and ask, how do you deal with this? Like, of course there are nice comments. Most of the comments are nice, but there are also mean comments on my stuff all the time. How are you dealing with this? How are you still showing up and showing your face? How are you letting another video get posted on Facebook after that one went up and the comments on that about you and who you are? Like, how are you possibly moving forward in your life and letting this happen. So now here's the answer. And I've thought about this, like, what is it about me that allows this to just happen and allows me to still wake up every morning in a positive, happy mood and move forward no matter what is going on the internet? The answer is that I love my actual life. I am very, very happy in all aspects of my real life. I have an incredibly stable and loving marriage that has been a long-term relationship that I was in from even before my first video at Johns Hopkins. I've been with Michael since high school, and he is the most stable and steady partner a person could ask for. I have the most stable and loving real life friends who I feel incredibly close to, who support me unconditionally, who maybe even don't care about anything I'm posting on social media, but show me love and appreciation and respect and niceness in person. I have such a loving family. I feel so close to my entire family, to the point where even if I didn't have any friends and I was just forced to hang out with my siblings for the rest of my life, I would be content with just the relationships I have with those two people. And at the end of the day, I'm just really happy with all facets of my personal real life. By the way, Milo is waking up from his nap and Michael just went in to get him. And if you hear him crying in the background, he is A-okay. He's just a little groggy. I feel like I've seen some of those things that ask, if you were sick in the middle of the night and you needed to call someone, do you have at least one person who you could call and wake up in the middle of the night and they would come help you? When I read that question, it sounds so silly to me because I kid you not, there are probably over 100 people in my life that I feel that way about. Everyone from my immediate family to my extended family to Michael's immediate family, Michael's extended family, all of my closest friends, tons of my parents' friends that treat me like I'm a daughter to them. There are just so many people in my real life. And as I'm saying this, I'm really hoping this is not coming across as me bragging about like tangible things that I have in my life. Because yes, I am incredibly privileged and I came from a privileged background and I now am living a very privileged life. However, none of this has anything to do with tangible goods or material items. This is all relationships and the energy of the people in my life around me. And essentially, what's going on social media and what people are saying about me online just does not carry such an intense weight because I have this real authentic circle that fills up my cup to its brim. I think I just thought of the perfect analogy. So we all have this cup. The cup is how fulfilled we feel and how happy we feel in our life, right? All the different areas of your life have the potential to, from this cup, either fill it or drain it out from the bottom. What's going on in my life over here is that this area of my real life, that is my real friendships, my family, my relationships, IRL, those fill my cup so much that that side of things is overflowing my cup. My cup is constantly overflowing with all of the love and personal connections that I have in my real life, which means that when the social media sphere over here is throwing me something negative, which is draining the bottom of the cup, it is still running over from the good stuff in my real life. And of course, what this also means is that the positive stuff I receive on social media doesn't really even do that much it's not making me any happier. It's not like exploding my cup. It's just still running over. My cup is just running over from the positivity in my real life. So anything that comes in from the social media sphere doesn't really make a dent or a difference. I can imagine someone who does something similar to what I do for a job, who has this empty cup and they don't have that support network in their real life of real people who love them and care about them and know them. They just are not getting much from that bucket. In that case, they're relying on this social media community that they've built to fill up their cup. And you know what? A lot of them do have their cups filled very, very high from their social media followings and from their audience, and they honestly think of their followers as their friends and their community, and that is who they rely on. So their cup does go up from these followers, but then when they receive negativity, it just drains, and the positivity that they're getting from the rest of the community is maybe not powerful enough to replenish the cup. I guess this is how I genuinely feel when people ask me how I manage having a public persona and how I stay mentally well while shit like this is flying around the internet. And that is the answer. It is that my cup is so full from my actual life relationships and and the people who truly know me that I don't need anything else. I hope this is a lesson. Maybe this is a lesson for someone out there who is trying to get into social media, especially if the reason you find yourself posting on social media is to get that approval and to get the love that you're not feeling in your real life. I just highly recommend that you seek out nurturing those relationships and finding the love and connection and stability in your real life first before you blast yourself online. Because I can tell you right now, if I didn't have the support network I have and I didn't have the players in my life to love me unconditionally, I can't say that I would be able to manage a lot of what I read about myself online. So that's the answer to your question. I hope this helped give you a little bit more insight into my inner workings in my brain. I plan on doing a lot more content like this where I just sort of open up about a topic that I haven't spoken too much about, but that I'm hoping you're interested in. Let me know down below what other types of topics maybe in this same world you would be interested in hearing about. And thank you so much for coming back to my YouTube channel. Love you. And the one thing I want to say to YouTube, I want to let you guys know the drops that you guys add to my cup are bigger and badder than all the other drops. So when I get YouTube love from you guys, you really make my cup runneth over. And I love you all to the moon and back.